and welcome to this week's edition of NCompass Live. I am your host, Krista Burns, here at the Nebraska Library Commission. NCompass Live is the Library Commission's weekly online event where we cover any topics or ideas that might be of interest to librarians across the state. We do these sessions every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time. And we do record them so they can be viewed later if you want to. We have a large list here of our archived NCompass Live sessions. There's a link here on our website that you can go to and see all of the previous sessions that we have done and watch them. We have the recordings on here. If there's a PowerPoint presentation, it's included in here. If there are links to websites, it's included. So you have access to everything that was related to any session that we have presented via NCompass Live. This morning's session, we have a guest speaker with us from Sara Churchill, who's from Blair Community Schools, north of Omaha, actually. Sarah was with us last week, actually, and she's here again 2 weeks in a row.
It's fun.
Last week we were talking about iPad apps for that libraries and schools can use, and this week we've got her talking to us about Booktalks, which apparently is a very popular topic. We had a large group of people signed in this morning, and about 40 some odd people who had actually registered for this morning.
Wow.
So people are interested or need to know, or
It's a fun topic. It's a way to get people interested, and it can apply to a very wide range of people. So,
absolutely. Okay, so if you want to, Sarah, I'm going to pass over control to you.
okay.
And then you'll be able to.
Uh-oh, I lost you. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
There we go. Okay, I lost your volume somehow for a minute.
Oh, okay. No, I'm still here.
Okay, all right. Now,
We are seeing your website now too, yes.
Excellent, okay.
Oh, good.
Let me get my controls here out of the way. Okay. Well, as Krista said, I am Sara Churchill. I'm from Blair Community Schools, north of Omaha. We are trying to deal with a little waterlog around us, as is much of the area around here. So, but it's not too bad. I live in Omaha and I drive to Blair, so I don't have to worry about my home being in danger, but some of the town certainly is. I also am an adjunct instructor for the Library Science program in the College of Education at UNO. And I teach a technology course for teachers and librarians there, and it's a whole lot of fun. And I am going on 5 years of doing that. So I get to experiment a lot. I get to try new things. I get to see adults creating products, not just kids, so that's kind of nice. The topic that I'm focusing on today is book trailers. Which is certainly becoming, as Krista said, more and more popular. There's a lot of interest in it. I've been working on this for about 3 years in various forms, and certainly the interest is growing and growing. I think people are realizing that they can hook readers visually and with a lot of media and be able to get readers interested in books in that particular way. And it generates a lot of excitement for different materials. So there's a lot of different ways to go about and tackle book trailers. If you're not familiar with what a book trailer actually is, there are lots of sites out there that have book trailer examples, and I do have some of those links available. But certainly just Googling, not that that's our solution for everything, but just Googling book trailers will get you to a wealth of sites where you can find book trailers on different books. It is very much like a movie trailer, just like you would see at the previews in the movie theater when you've got that 20 minutes of playtime before the movie actually starts. And like in a good movie trailer, a book trailer will introduce you to the story, give you a hint of what's going to happen, generate some excitement and maybe some drama, and get you wanting more. And that's really the purpose of our book trailers. I do have a website that I'm going to go off of for today's topic, and I did send that to Krista, and she will link that for you guys so you can check that website out. But if you want to go there right now, it is podcasts.blairschools.org/groups/Arbor Library. And so you can go there and kind of follow along with me today, or you can refer back to it later. I'm going to start right here with my background information. As a teacher, obviously, I need to tie into standards. That's always a big thing for us, for any of us really, not just teachers. But I do have the ISTE NETs referred to here. I love the AASL standards, but the Nebraska Department of Education is using the ISTE NETs to drive its technology curriculum. So that is what I have put in here. You can see that it ties into a huge variety of standards. Creativity and innovation is certainly a huge one that you will see in creating book trailers and getting people thinking creatively as well. It ties into a variety of topics and skills. So it's a very great thing for you to create. It's a good thing for students and patrons to create. But it also generates interest in books, which is what we really want to. As I said, I've been working on this for about 3 years. I began with my own creation of podcasts and teaching podcasting to my teachers and to the students in my UNO classes. Eventually, I worked with my high ability students here in my school. And the year before last, I attempted book trailers with my entire 5th grade all at once. It was a huge learning experience to try and do it with 185 5th graders all at once and have them create book trailers. I learned a lot, but...
yes, you're very brave.
Yes, I thought I had practiced it enough that I had it down, but you certainly, when you actually implement it, you learn things. I did also start that same year a project with Google Earth with my 4th graders, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. It's sort of book trailery, but a little bit different than the other book trailers we're going to look at. Over that summer then, I had the chance to kind of tweak it a little bit when we had summer enrichment camp, and I worked with a smaller group of students there. This whole time I've also been working with adults in my UNO class, helping them to learn how to create these as well. I did learn some tips on how to make things work a little bit better when you're trying to teach it to a large group. This past year I did the process again, I did the projects again. My 5th grade students, most of them came away with their book trailer almost completely finished. But with the NISA testing, I did sort of run out of the time to completely wrap up the whole project, get all the links compiled and all of that sort of stuff. But the students can walk away knowing how to create a book trailer. I'm confident in that. My 4th graders also did the Google Earth project again. I did tweak that a little bit. So they did not have as much to do with Google Earth itself this year, but they did the groundwork for it all. Again, like I said, I've done this with both my undergrad and grad students at UNO, and I think most of them come away really enjoying the products that they have created. So there are a variety of options that you can use, tools you can use available to you when you want to create a book trailer. GarageBand, Animoto, iMovie are all tools that I have used to create videos. They all have their pros and cons, like anything else. GarageBand has some great flexibility with sound, but it can be a bit more complicated. It is only Mac-based, so if you don't have a Mac, that is a problem. Although there are other options available on the PC, things like Audacity for audio and Microsoft Photo Story kind of does a little bit similar to iMovie. So you have some options on the PC as well. Animoto is extremely easy. It is free. It is online. You can be limited with your titles, how much time you get for your video and that sort of thing. If you're just doing it for you personally, it might not be that big of a deal. If you're doing it with a large group or they're creating their own, then you might need to think about how you're going to manage the account issue there, how you're going to get them all signed in. Animoto does have an education account process that you can sign up for, where you get 30 student accounts for your one teacher email, and then the students can sign up. It does require them to put in an email address, but it doesn't have to be a working email address. They don't ever have to check it for any reason. They just need to use it to sign in. So we actually just had our students make up with their normal username and the @blairschools.org and make up their email address. They don't really have one like that, but it worked just fine. iMovie, again, can be a good blend of GarageBand and Animoto, but it is Mac-based. Like I said, Microsoft Photo Story is an option for those people on the PC that want something similar to that. Google Earth, I will touch on later. It is an excellent cross-curricular opportunity, and I'll talk a little bit about that when I explain the whole project that I did with my 4th graders. But it can be a little techy for you to complete the Google Lit trip. And I do have directions, and I'll show you where to access those in a little bit, but it can be a little bit more work on the instructor part than on the student part. There are lots of other free Web 3.0 websites out there that you can use, Glogster, Museum Box, that would be fun and innovative ways to showcase a piece of literature. And you may need to set up accounts for those, but they would certainly be a little bit more different than your standard PowerPoint on a particular topic. So lots of different ways to showcase books and create book trailers. I'm going to start by going back to my main page here, and I'm going to show you some of what we have done with GarageBand. This is one that I've certainly done a little bit more with adults. I did use it with my high ability students here. And I'm going to show you an example of a GarageBand created podcast here. I'll try and go full screen here, and I'll try and turn up my sound so you can hear it all.
Summer, the sweet smell of the grass and the trees and the warm air. Slow days of doing nothing and enjoying the warmth of the sun. Summer in a small town. But unfortunately for Comfort Snowburger, this summer is going to be different. Welcome to the Golden Sower Podcast. I'm Sara Churchill, Intermediate Level Library Media Specialist and Graduate Level Library and Technology Instructor. The Golden Sower Podcast will focus on the nominees for the Nebraska Children's Choice Awards, the Golden Sowers. In each episode, we'll focus on one of the 10 nominees from one of the 3 levels. After a brief synopsis of the book, we'll discuss a few ways that this book can be tied to the curriculum. For a full list of the nominees in all categories, please visit the Golden Sower website at www.nebraskalibraries.org/goldensower.
I'm just going to jump ahead a tiny bit to more of the podcast itself so you can see kind of how it works to go from pictures and adding the story elements in.
Voice to create a story that is both heartwarming and heart-wrenching. Comfort Snowburger, 10 years old, lives in a family that is no stranger to death. The Snowburger Funeral Home has been around for over 100 years and almost always strikes the right balance between down-home comfort and classy. Comfort has a dog that she loves named Dismay, funeral dog extraordinaire, a cousin that she hates named Peach, and a best friend named Declaration, who is being a royal pain. Wiles shows off creativity in her writing when choosing the names for many of her characters. In addition to Dismay, Peach, and Declaration, there are her siblings, Tidings and Mary, Great-great Aunt Florentine and Great-Uncle Odesto are fixtures in Comfort's life.
So you can see that I have used the recording of my voice. I have used pictures that I have brought in, and I have found on the web, and I'll show you the resources where I've gotten those. Of course, we want to comply with fair use and copyright issues, which some of my students sometimes don't find as fun, but we need to keep those things in mind. And I've also pulled in music as well. GarageBand is great because it does have some built-in music. However, you can go out and find music to pull in as well. So I have, if you want to view the whole episode there, that's episode 1. I also have episode 2 up there. It was a little labor intensive for me to continue all 10 of those every single year, so I kind of did not keep up with this past year, but it was very fun to create. When you are creating a book trailer, whether it's in GarageBand or whatever tool you choose, you always want to start with a script. I have heard those who have just talked, and I have heard those who have actually created scripts, and it is much better if you actually create a script. Your timing is better, it sounds better, it creates for a better flow. So you always want to make sure you start with a script, or at the very least a storyboard. You need to have some idea in mind of where you're going. If you're going to create one in GarageBand, you obviously need GarageBand. You need a microphone so you can record your voice. Although you don't have to always record your voice, and you'll see some of those later when I do Animoto, because I discovered with some of my students that I had some external devices we were using to record their voices, and when we tried to bring in the audio, it didn't play very well, and the audio came in all garbled. And it was really hard to try and manage classes of 30 students and having everybody recording. So if you have a small group, or if you're doing this yourself to create book trailers for your library, you probably do want to record your voice or someone's voice. Photos and music to support it. We know that people today like media-rich environments. They like having music and seeing images pulled in. You don't want to just stare at a black screen while I'm talking right now. Other people don't want to stare at a black screen while you're telling them about a book. So I use QuickTime to view our finished project in GarageBand. So I do have 10 easy steps there if you're actually going to create something in GarageBand. I won't go into that step by step because we have more to cover, but I do have 10 easy steps there that you can start with. And I am very available via email and phone and all that sort of stuff. If you ever have any questions, feel free to contact me, and I'll try and help you as much as I can. I do have some tips here again. And I did list my external resources here, and I'll show you those real quick. One of my favorite places for images is Stock Exchange. And I did create just a generic account for my school that my students used. And it does limit how many photos a day you download. I think it was like 100 photos a day. They do also have premium photos as well as free photos. So you have to be careful of that as well. I have to tell my students, make sure they don't get the ones that cost us money. So if you just search for an image, and you'll notice the premium results are of course at the top. They want you to buy those. But you can scroll down and you can find images that go with what you're discussing, and you can get them nice and large, and then you can download the full image and save that to use in your podcast. I like Stock Exchange because it has some very high quality images that are realistic, which seems to be what the students want more than clip art and that sort of thing. And certainly if you're marketing for adults, they probably don't want little clip art animations. They probably want real photos. So Stock Exchange is a great site for that. I've never had any problems getting junk mail or anything from them. One of my favorite resources for music, if you're not using built-in music like in GarageBand, is freeplaymusic.com. And I like them. They have a way to search by feeling. So if you're doing an adventure book, you can click on Action and Adventure, and you can hear the music. They have multiple versions of it in different lengths, which is also very nice. If you know you're just going to use 30 seconds of the music, you can just download 30 seconds, and it saves you some editing later. So Free Play Music and Stock Exchange are two of my favorite resources to get copyright-free images and copyright-free music. Any of the images of book covers that I have used, I use in conjunction with an Amazon Associates account, and I did not pull that up, but you can sign up for an Amazon Associates account and you can use the images that they have in their system for book covers as long as you link back to them. And you may have, your own personal feelings on whether that's okay to link back to a site where people are going to buy things, but if someone were to click on the link and to buy the book because of how I linked them to Amazon, that money I just take and I put back towards the library. Now, I haven't had anybody do that, but it might be a nice way to get a little extra income there for the library. But now I don't have to worry about the copyright issues with my cover items. And then you certainly always have the option of taking the picture of the book. Make sure your hand is holding the book or something so that you're not just stealing the image that way. So you want to be careful of your fair use issues there. Let me go back to my main page. And that was podcasting with GarageBand, and again, there's 10 steps there to actually get you started. It is a fairly easy process. If you are familiar with GarageBand, you drop in your pictures, you record your sound on one line, you can pull your music in on another line. So it's not too bad to create, and it's kind of fun. Book trailers with Animoto and iMovie, I'm going to spend a little bit more time on these because they're free, they're easy, especially with Animoto. This is what I ended up doing with my 5th graders this past year. I was going to do iMovie, however, then we ran into issues with lab access and all that sort of thing. So just doing an Animoto made it really easy. It also made it so they could do them at home, which certainly has its pros and cons. If you're working with young kids doing this, maybe with a library after-school program or something like that, they will have access to these accounts wherever they have internet, and they will have access to the education accounts for 6 months. So you're not necessarily being able to control what they're doing on that particular piece of technology, but of course we want to teach them to be creative individuals. We want to teach them responsible use, so we have to balance that out. Again, I recommend having a script and your images and your music before you start the process. One of the other things that we did a lot of was we used PowerPoint to create slides with more pictures and more words on them than Animoto and iMovie will let you have with just titles. With my 5th graders, I actually started them on using Google Docs. Our district has Google Docs accounts for all of our students, and they wrote their scripts in a Google Doc that they shared with me and a partner, and we proofread and edited back and forth that way. And then they started by creating their slides in the Google Docs presentation mode, but we found that that presentation mode on Google Docs wouldn't do everything we wanted to, so we ended up pulling them into PowerPoint. And what you can do with your PowerPoint slides is you can pull in your pictures, you can pull in themes, and you can add text on there instead of what you would say out loud. Like I said, I had problems with recording with so many people and having sound play nicely with different devices. So instead of saying 2 kids exploring the woods, that sort of thing, they would type out those words on a slide. And they were able to put themes in, they were able to put pictures in behind the words. And then once they got those slides all nice and perfect, they were able to save those slides as pictures, where each slide is its own picture. And then we bring it into Animoto and iMovie like a picture. And you'll see that in my example in a little bit. Again, we used our copyright-free images and music, despite the complaining from the students. They wanted to go out and find pictures from the Harry Potter movies and the Hunger Games and that sort of thing to incorporate. But we tried to tell them to, be fair about their use there.
And that's a good little lesson to kind of toss in on the sly as you're doing it.
Yes, I can't say they were always happy about it, but they listened to me at least. So, again, I have, my process broken down there step by step, but I'm going to go ahead. I have a link to the video. I have it embedded on the web page, but then I also downloaded it just in case we had problems here and had any sort of issues with anything. So this is the example that I did with my students that I worked through, and an example of how you can use the images and the music and the PowerPoint slides to create a video on Animoto. Animoto does put in the transitions and the sort of animation itself, so you'll see that in here. And I did not do that, they did that. So it looks pretty good, I think, but it was all created with Animoto. And with Animoto, if you sign up for the free version, you are limited to 30-second videos. The very first time I did this with a small group of students, we just used 10-minute mail for them to sign up and check. You have to click on a link to activate your account, so we used 10-minute mail to do that. And then that email address goes away, and I didn't have to worry about any issues with them using that account for any purposes they shouldn't be. But we did discover that 30 seconds goes pretty fast. And you'll see in some of these examples in this lower group here, you'll see how those kind of went a little too fast sometimes, like you can't even read the words on the screen. When you sign up for the education version, which they have streamlined that process, I didn't use it the first time because it took them almost 2 weeks to get me my codes and whatnot. Now it's all automated, and they reply back within probably 1 minute of you signing up for the education account with your access code that your students then use when they sign up. You do get a lot more time. You get unlimited time on your video there, unlimited videos, and you get 6 months of access to that. It's like having an Animoto Plus account, but for free. So that's kind of good. I have 2 examples here of student-created ones from this year, and they are not maybe the fanciest ones out of all my students, but they turned out pretty good, I think. Like I said, we didn't get quite as much done on this project in terms of everybody getting their movie finalized and the links to me and everything, but there's a few examples there if you want to see those. Just to show you how easy Animoto is, once you are logged in and you click Create a Video, you do have to pick a theme. And I picked that one with the clouds kind of swirling. I thought that was appropriate for the plane crash in Hatchet. And then you upload photos and you can import video clips as well. So if you do want to have a video of a plane crashing through the sky, you could upload that as well. You can incorporate both still images and video, which is a bonus over GarageBand. GarageBand, you can only incorporate one or the other, not both. So that's definitely a plus. Once your images are all uploaded, they'll show up just like this, and you can drag and drop them and move them around and get them in the right order. And it gives you a preview over here of how it works. You can also add text, some titles, but again, you are limited with how many characters you can use in those titles. So that's why we switched to using PowerPoint to create some of that text rather than just relying on the titles. I did come across sort of a odd glitch with Animoto. It seems like a lot of times they'll leave out the last slide, whatever it is. So if I didn't have this text box here, this would have been my last slide and it wouldn't have showed up. So, you know, you have to play with it sometimes. I wouldn't expect it always to be perfect on the very first run through. You might have to go back and fiddle with things a little bit to make sure it's right. That's a small price to pay, I think, for the fact that this is completely free. They do have music built in that you can choose from. They have music that you can choose from. If I do change your music here and I select from their collection, I have different styles here that I can choose from. So I could click on indie rock, I guess, and I could play and listen to their different kinds of music and see if it is appropriate for my video, and I don't think that that one really goes, but we'll just leave it there for now. You could find one that's appropriate. You could also upload from your own computer music that maybe you've downloaded from Free Play Music or something like that. And then when you get towards the end, you can customize the speed a little bit, normal speed, half speed, or fast. My students, some of them found that they had too much text on the screen. That's one thing you want to think about. You don't want to have too much reading required on the screen. So they had to slow it down to half speed in order for people to be able to read what was on the screen. If you want a short video or a full length. There's your theme. You can change that if you want to change it at that point. And then it takes a few minutes to finalize the movie. And then you get a link that you can then share with everybody else. And if I go back just a couple screens, let me go here to my videos. You can see I can share my project. I can remix it, change it a little bit. I can download it, export it, embed it, etc. So that's how easy Animoto is to create book trailers, and my students loved it. And actually the adult students in my UNO class have loved it as well. They loved being able to create things, not even just book trailers, but also personal videos as well. So I highly recommend Animoto as a tool to accomplish this. Free and easy. iMovie also is good. My students did love iMovie as well. They liked it because they had more control over things. They could change their transitions and make it animated the way they wanted it animated. And they actually found it very easy to learn. And I was a little surprised with how easy they found it, but they took to it so quickly that it was great. So I have some examples here. Like I said, my small group of students that did this took to it like a duck to water. They even created three videos using iMovie, so they had a lot of fun. Show an example of one of these, student created. Well, if it will work with me. Oh, it's not working. Okay, well maybe I won't show you that right now. I'll get those working so that you can see them. It could just be that it's not loading. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's just not loading. I should have pulled those up separately, but I didn't have them separately anymore. I'll get those loaded and we can maybe look at those a little bit later. Music from Free Play Music. They did use some of the built-in music on iMovie as well. Again, because iMovie is just Mac-based, I won't go into showing that step-by-step, but it's very similar, dragging and dropping pictures in and sliding the pictures around to match up a little bit with the music. So. The last project that I have done with the students, and like I said, it is not quite as a different, oh sure, I'm spinning now. There we go. As much as it is a different literature project, it is on the part of the instructor, but the opportunities, whether it's with students or whether it's with adults, the opportunities to pull in different areas is fantastic with Google Lit Trips. I wanted a book that had a lot of different locations in it, geographical locations in it, but something that was very interesting, not just kind of a dry sort of story. And I found the Daring Nellie Bly, America's Star Reporter, and it tells the story of Nellie Bly and how she traveled around the world to try and beat Phileas Fogg's imaginary record around the world in 80 days. And it tells the story of her journey. And we spend about a month and a half on this, but like I said, we get to pull in literature. We talk about the vocabulary in the book. We talk about the social conditions of the day and how that affected women, how it affected her socioeconomically, and why she had to get a job and that sort of thing. We are able to talk about the geography, obviously, involved. We work on writing skills because I have the students write paragraphs about the location. We work on research skills using the school's reliable databases that we subscribe to find information on their locations. They have to paraphrase what they learned and pull it all together. And finally, we compile it all in Google Earth and showcase the journey around the world that way. So it's a tremendous cross-curricular opportunity. And if you're looking for sort of a meaty project to do with any library group, whether it's adults or students, if you find a good book that has some geographical locations in it, this is a wonderful option for that. Google Earth is free, just like all of Google's tools. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, I've sold my soul to Google and to Apple. I don't own my whole soul anymore. I'm a minority stakeholder in it.
Yeah, that's happened to a lot of us.
I do have my Google Lit Trip file on this page that you can download. Yes, I know. I don't own it I don't own the whole thing anymore. So my Google Lit Trip file is here. I also have a presentation, and I'll kind of pull that up a little bit, that shows a little bit more step-by-step on how to create a lit trip. And so I'm just going to pull up my Google Lit Trip file here in Google Earth to show you how this works. So this is Google Earth if you've never seen it. It does spin. I don't want to make you guys too sick, but the Earth, you can find push pins on a variety of things. If you have public push pins turned on, you can see things that other users have put in there, locations, pictures of things, videos. There's some wonderful things out there on Google Lit Trips, not just Lit Trips, but Google in general. We had one of our HAL groups take a tour through Auschwitz using Google Earth. So there's a lot out there on Google Earth that can really enhance and enrich a literature experience. You know, if you are talking to students who have never set foot outside of their city, and you want to show them what a farm community looks like, or you want to show them what Cairo, Egypt looks like, Google Earth provides you an opportunity to do that in a sort of three-dimensional, almost three-dimensional sort of way. So what we did with the Nellie Bly trip is that we put in each of the locations that Nellie went to on her trip around the world. And she started, of course, in the United States. She started in New Jersey. And so if I click on New Jersey, I can see the paragraph that the students typed that I inputted into Google Earth. And maybe if I click on it, it will. There we go. Here's the link to the photo. It's not loading, but there's so a photo that's from about the time that Nellie Bly went on her tour.
Hey, Sarah?
Hopefully that
Hey, Sarah?
Yes.
Yeah, I think with all the everything you're trying to do, oh, there, it's finally,
Can you hear me?
it's taken a while to get it come through, go to webinar, but there, it's just jumped over to the photo, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just too much graphical
Can you hear
stuff
me?
going through
Okay.
from Google Earth for GoToWebinar to handle spitting it through, but that's okay.
Got it. Okay, well, I will leave the photos alone. I'll just kind of give you the gist here, kind of, whoopsies, standing still, hopefully on Google Earth. If I spin it and then stop, hopefully you'll be able to see it okay. But what I did is I went through and I added push pins for every location that Nellie went on her trip, and then we inputted the information and the photos that we found about those locations and how it related to Nellie and the story that we read about Nellie. So it just kind of enhances, you know, talking about Amiens, France, for a lot of people doesn't mean very much. But when they can go in and they can see the location on the map, they can see the images of that place, it really makes it a little bit more real to them. And the students thought it was very cool to actually see the places that we had read about in the story. It just wasn't this story kind of living out there about these places that didn't really exist. It was real to them this way. There are Google Lit Trips out there. I do link to the Google Lit Trip page where they have some downloadable examples and of lit trips that people have created. There's one for Make Way for Ducklings, which is really fun. That shows kind of the pathway through Boston. There's a lot of them on that page that are good for all age groups, not just kids. So Google Earth can be a really cool way to enhance a piece of literature that you have found. On my Lit Trips presentation, how are we doing here? Is our video caught up?
No, it's actually not moving at all, so I think might not be able to, oh, it's just now doing something. It's also kind of affecting the sound a little bit as well, but, all right, now I just see the Google Lit Trips page.
Okay, good. Yeah. Maybe now that we're out of Google Earth, it'll cooperate better.
Yeah, I think it will.
So I do have my Google Lit Trips presentation that you can download that explains what Google Earth does. It helps you take a virtual field trip through a piece of literature. And it's interactive, gives people a visual, multidisciplinary, that sort of thing. And I do have some steps on here for actually creating a lit trip and for accessing the website, the Google Lit Trips website, the main Google Lit Trips website, as well as the sources for Google Lit Trips too that you can use that other people have created. So there are a variety of ways that you can create technology aspects to relate to your literature to kind of generate interest. And again, it's a great way to just pull in multimedia and hook people into reading literature and into exploring it in a little bit different way. I found that my students had to think a lot harder about the literature when they decided to create their trailers on a particular book. They had to think about, okay, who are my main characters? What imagery can I use to represent the story and the items in the story? And for some students, and adults too, for some people, that is a task that is difficult to think in those conceptual terms rather than in literal terms of, I need to have the sword Excalibur in the stone with the knight pulling it out of the stone. Instead of thinking of, oh, I could just do an image of a big rock and get that same feeling there. So it's a great way to explore. It's a great way to push the boundaries of the literature, and certainly it's a lot of fun. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I know last time we kind of ran out of time, so hopefully we have more time.
Oh, well, yeah, we have plenty of time now, yeah. If you do have any questions, feel free to type them into the questions section of your GoToWebinar interface, or if you have a microphone, let me know and I can unmute you. Yeah, this is very cool, Sarah. I wish we had this kind of stuff, these kind of things when I was in school. I mean, I was an English major, and the reading in the books was my thing, but this would have made it even more interesting, I'm sure.
Yes. And I don't think I have, it just occurred to me, I don't think I have my email address on this site because it's my school site. I don't think it's on here anywhere. But my email address is sarah.churchill@blairschools.org. And I'm very good with email. If you have other questions that we don't answer, you can certainly email me.
Sure. I'll put that link, put that up on when we put up the recording as well, so people will have it on there somewhere. Oh, we do have just a comment in the questions that this is absolutely awesome.
Well, excellent. I'm glad. Hopefully, you're excited to go try one thing out that you saw today. Mm-hmm. Highly recommend Animoto. It's easy, quick.
Yes, that was very cool. Yeah, I like that one a lot. I know a lot of people in it have fear, concern, nervousness about speaking, and standing up in front of a group and speaking in the same way as recording. Sometimes recording your voice can be easier, but not having to do that and still being able to get your work done and get the information out there is very cool.
Yes.
And especially in an animated way, not just a, static slideshow or something. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And I think my students had a whole lot of fun with that, and taking the recording your voice aspect out of it lessened the anxiety for a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. Someone does want to know, I've got a couple of questions that have just come in. You have a tips list. They want to know, is it okay for them to download that? I assume everything on this page is out there.
Absolutely. Feel free to help yourself. Give credit. That's if you're sharing it with a bunch of people, if you wouldn't mind throwing my name back in there somewhere, that would be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because even though this is on the Blair Schools page, this is a public website. I mean, for other people to use and access and benefit from.
Yes, it is. You can certainly get to this website as long as I need some wood to knock on. As long as our podcast server doesn't crash on us or anything, it will be here.
Okay. And someone wants to know if you could explain in further detail about obtaining an educational account for Animoto.
Yes, it's not very clear on their website itself, but it actually is. Let's see if I maybe log out. It's very easy. If you already have your account, you can sign up for the education version. Let's see, I think it's when you go to new users. You just fill out your information. Oh, no. I think I have the link up on if I go back to Animoto here, I think I have the link. You sign up for yourself first, and then it gives you a code that that you can then give to your 30 students, and they have to go in and they have to sign up then, or sign up, not sign in, and they have to put in an email address, their first, their last name, their birth date, letter of your first name, the last letter of your last name, and I made them all put in January 1st of 1970 for their birth date. I, explained to them, we've already done our internet safety unit, so they understand that. And then they have a code.
Sarah, it looks like we've lost some sound from you. Can you hear me, Sarah?
They have to sign in, and I took pictures. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it looks like when you're jumping around on the Animoto site, it was cutting out your sound coming through. The bandwidth couldn't, I guess, handle whatever Animoto was doing and sending your sound through at the same time.
Yeah, sorry. Well, yeah, you sign up, and then it generates a code for you that then you give to your students that they put in when they sign up. So.
Okay, cool.
And that link is on that. The link is on my website. So.
Okay. Another question now. These applications that you're using here, they're not only for Mac. I mean, I know GarageBand you said is, but there are things in here for both Mac and PC. The services you use, correct?
Yes. Google, Trips, and Animoto are both Mac and PC. GarageBand and iMovie are Mac-based only, but there are equivalents on the PC, and I don't think I have that on the website, and I'll have to put that on there, but equivalents would be Audacity,
right,
which can edit sound, but you can't put images in Audacity, but you can edit your sound that way. And then Microsoft Photo Story is one that we recommend for the PC that is very similar to sort of iMovie and being able to pull in both sound and pictures.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. There's a link on your website. Someone says the nellyblylane.kmz. What is .kmz file type?
The .kmz is actually the Google LitTrip file itself.
Ah, okay.
So anything that ends in a .kmz is going to be a file that you can pull in to Google LitTrips and see all the information. It's got, that file has the paragraphs, the pictures, the links that I have created to go into Google.
Okay.
So anything with a .kmz is going to be a Google LitTrip.
Okay.
And so if you have Google Earth,
right,
then you can open that KMZ file. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. That's what they were looking for. Any other questions? The last minute, we've just hit about a little after 11. We did start a few minutes after 10. So anybody have any last things you want to throw at Sarah while we're still here? If not, her email will be out there when we do put the recording up, so you'll be able to if you do need to want to ask her any other questions. We got a bunch of thank yous coming through. Thank you so much. What a great resource. So looks like you might get a lot of activity on this site now.
And I did just realize you all were staring at my personal email for a few minutes. You guys go out and try something and have a little fun with it.
Yeah, great. More thank yous. Awesome presentation. Very exciting. Yes, it is. I want to go look at some of these now myself. Looks like there's not any other major questions coming through. Just a lot of thank yous from the audience. So I think we will wrap up for this morning. Thank you very much, Sarah, for being with us again 2 weeks in a row.
You're welcome.
You had some great information we wanted to get out there. So we are happy to have you here. So that is our NCompass Live for today, and it was recorded. The session was recorded, so it will be on our archive NCompass Live sessions webpage later today, tomorrow, when we get it done being processed. So we'll have it up there, and everyone who attended, and even it'll be announced when it is ready for everyone to watch. I hope you'll join us next week when our topic is, the title is a little cryptic depending on who you are, Pioneers Progress, where we are going to have Steve Fosselman and Greg Mickles, who are part of the Pioneer Consortium here in Nebraska, talk about how that project is going. This is an open source using ILS system using Koha that is now open for any libraries in the state who want to join up. So we're going to have them on board with us next Wednesday morning to talk about how that's going and how you can get involved if you want to. So thank you very much for attending today, and look out for the recording to come later, and we will see you next week. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.